Welcome guys, because today we are going to talk about something really important. 3D printed Axolotl. Let's see how I sliced it. This model is from a STL Flix collection that you can find different types of axolotls. So if you wanna check it, the link is on the description. Guys, we have two main topics to talk about in this model. First of all, the first layer. It's really important when we have articulated parts on a 3D file, and also retraction, because we have some separated parts in the same model. So the retraction, the travel movements between those parts, it's really important to be clean. So let's start talking about first layer, and then I will give you some tips for you to test when you're calibrating your retraction. Let's start talking about my standard profile. For this file, I usually go with 0.16 because I want some details, but I don't want to expend so much time printing it, okay? 0.16 is going to be a good average for the layer height and resolution on the details of this model. So let's see. In the print settings, we have 0.16 layer height. In the first layer height, and that's a tip for your first layer, I never change from 0.2 because I already have a good setting for the Z offset between the nozzle and my printer. I already know a good value you can find on yours. I already have a good setting for extrusion width in the first layer, so I don't change the height. I always want the same result on my first layer, so I keep the settings. I only change in the following ones, okay? So in this case, I recommend you the same. Don't change your first layer's settings, okay? The same works on the speed. I don't change this. I use on most of my printers the PAI sheet, okay? So I will recommend you, if you have a good speed that works and gave you a good addition, keep it, okay? Don't change it for the first layer, and you can play around in the settings of the other layers. Remember that, and I think it's going to save you from a lot of trouble. I usually go with 3 perimeters because it gives me a good resistance for a decorative model. 7 solid layers on the top and 5 on the bottom. You can reduce the bottom if you want. I usually go with 5. I prefer to be safe on this one than save filament and have trouble later. Let's see. My infill, 5% is good. Gyroid is my favorite pattern, because I don't want the printer accelerating too much inside of the model, especially on those ones that we have a lot of parts on the model. I'm not going to use skirt and brim in this one, but you can do this. I have a small piece in here, so I'm going to right click on it, and then we can add settings, skirt and brim only on this one, because I think it's the only that needed, okay? So let's put in here, outer brim, 5 millimeters. Oh, I forgot one setting. Add settings, skirt and brim, and then separation gap, because I want this to be easy to remove. So I usually go with 0.1 or 0.15 on the separation gap between the brim and the model. In this way, we have brim only on those parts that we think it's necessary. For the body and the head and also the baby version, I don't think it's necessary. Most of people are using glue on the build plate, so I think we are safe without the brim in here. Continuing the settings, we have in here the speed for my printer, which is an Ender 3 V3 SE. I'm going with 60 millimeters per second. You can go until 90 millimeters per second. It's going to be okay. But since it's an articulated model, I'm going to keep this. It's up to you to change this if you want to save some time, but I think it's not worth it. And last but not least, let's talk about extrusion width, which is 0.42. I like to put 5% more of the regular size of the nozzle, so 0.42 is going to give us a strong addition, just a little bit. So I like resistance, even if we have only decorative models. And now just a few tips about your retraction calibration. Remember, we have the retraction length, which is a distance the filament that we are going to pull. We have also the retraction speed, which is the speed we are going to pull that amount of filament. Those are too obvious, I would say. But we also have the travel speed on your retractions calibration. Remember that. As fast as you can move your nozzle in the travel movements will be better for you to avoid the stringings during the process, because we will not have time for letting some amount of filament oozing from the nozzle. I hope you guys enjoy it. Those slicing videos are an initiative from STL Academy, which is the educational project from STLFlix. So if you guys want to learn more about 3D printing, you could check our description and look at STL Academy courses. And don't forget, see you guys at the next slicing.